start our informational lecture series today. Welcome everyone to the Dover Saddlery International Helmet Awareness Days discussions at Dover. Aside from all the great deals we have going on right now over Helmet Days, we also did feel it was really important to offer our customers information on helmet safety, fit, all of the standards out there, the certifications. There's just so many topics that are so important when you're buying a helmet. Our store employees and our customer service associates are very well experienced in this area, but when you're going out on your own to research helmets, it's just really good to get as much information as possible, because when you think about it, your helmet is probably the most important piece of equipment you will ever buy when riding in this sport. So again, my name is Whitney Keeley from Dover Saddlery, and it's my pleasure to introduce Danielle Santos from Charles Owen. For those of you who don't know about the brand, Charles Owen is really has set the lead in safety and fit for protective helmets and body equipment in the equestrian industry. So we are just thrilled to have Danielle here today. And our topic this afternoon is on helmet safety. She'll go over what the standards and the certifications mean and why it's important that you know about that. So at the end of our discussion, we will open it up to a Q&A, and how that will work is you can type in your questions into your Zoom computer screen, and I will read them aloud and we can all benefit from the answers. So without further ado, welcome Danielle.
Thanks, Whitney. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure. So today I wanted to talk about safety standards, and it's quite timely, of course, with helmet awareness. And you know, the time that everybody really wants to replace their helmet, whether they're going to upgrade, whether they're going to buy the same helmet that they had before that's maybe lived its life and saved you. So the main topic, of course, is safety standards. There are three international main safety equestrian standards. The first one is ASTM, and that's F1163 in the 2015 version. There's the PASO 15, and that is the 2011 version, which is from the UK. There is the VG1, and that is the European specification that is in place in the meantime while they are continuing to discuss a new European standard. So Europe, UK, and US have all their own safety standard, and helmets need to be tested and certified to one of the three or more. At Charles Owen, one of the things that we found is that the safer helmet will be the one that is tested and certified to the multiple standards. And of course, we've never really been able to share that sort of information, which is the types of tests that these helmets are going to undergo. And those are very important. Of course, you can't ever determine or predict the kind of fall you're going to have. You may go out and ride this afternoon and just go on a simple trail ride and have your horse trip. You could be running cross country at advanced level. You could be just riding in a hunter course. All those sorts of things are on different surfaces. You're doing something different, and those require, every single one of those would require a different level of safety, a different specific type of test that your helmet would be certified to. And that's the key. So when you have your helmet and you want to see what types of safety standards they have, I'm going to grab one here, the shinier one. So you can look inside your helmet and see on the tag and on the inside, oops, not sure if you can see it as clear. Oh, there we go. So you can see inside your helmet, and every helmet will have to have a tag that shows what types of standards they're tested to. So going into a little bit of detail, again, the more safety standards your helmet is tested and certified to, and when I say certification, I truly mean independent testing. So this is not tested by the companies. This is tested by an independent body. In the US, we use SEI. In the UK, we use BSI, and that's a kite mark. And in Europe, usually it's a CE mark or a test that is used for the VG1. And sometimes in Europe, you can have BSI tests to the VG1. So we have a Check Your Label campaign at Charles Owen. And something that is very clear with the Check Your Label is the extensive tests that the PAS 015 and the VG1 will test to. So ASTM tests on, or all of them, test on a fall from 1.8 meters. And that's generally, you know, a significant height, and that will protect you. So where we start to see a little bit of differences onto the angled surface. And an angled surface would be whether, you know, if you were to fall on a rock or you were to fall on the edge of an arena, which we have seen in the past. The differences are not vast between the standards on the angled surface. It is 1.3 in most of them. The PAS 015, though, adds into the tests a spike test. A spike test is something that would happen, a sharp object, essentially, going into your helmet. The spike test for PAS 015 is a 75 centimeter spike. And that is a significant spike that could possibly injure you. And when we talk about spikes, we're talking about a very localized impact. A horse's stud, for instance. And then, of course, VG1 has a 50 centimeter spike, and ASTM does not have spike tests. On crush, we have PAS 015 uses an 800 Newton crush level test. The VG1 has a 630 Newton crush. So you're getting more crush protection in a VG1 helmet. And ASTM does not have a crush test. So you're talking about very different types of tests. And when we look again at the types of riding we do, some people are riding in an arena with blue stone footing. Some people are riding in an arena with beautiful, lofty types of manufactured sand. Some people are riding on grass. Some people are riding on the roads, on gravel roads. So you want to make sure that all these tests, you have the most accident scenarios that your helmet is tested to. It's very important. Additionally, Charles Owen has the Snell test on its 4-star cross-country skull. And added to those sorts of tests that the PAS 015 has, the Snell standard has 1.9 meters on a flat surface, the same angled surface. It has an additional 1.5 meter on an uneven surface. So that's an additional test that the other three do not carry. It has 100 centimeters of spike testing, and that's a lot more than the 75 or the 50 of the VG1 and the PAS 015. And then, of course, it has 1,000 newtons of crush protection. So when you're looking for a helmet, looking inside the helmet to look for how many standards your helmet is certified to is really key. That, of course, we always want to make sure that we say this, that, of course, is secondary to the fit. If your helmet doesn't fit you, it doesn't matter how many standards it carries. It needs to stay on your head. It needs to stay stable and in place in order for these standards to do their job. So that is kind of the key takeaway of any sort of helmet education, is fit is absolutely paramount so that these standards can do their job. I wanted to share with you some information that's gone viral on social media this morning, and it was released, of course, for helmet awareness. And one of our jumper riders one of our American top Olympians, had a fall a few weeks ago while she was competing. And she had an unfortunate experience where her horse actually stepped on her. And I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what it looks like. So this is what we're talking about, and I want to make sure everybody can see that. Can you see that, Whitney?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is Laura Kraut, show jumper for the US. This is her helmet. Right here, you can see a significant impact. This is where her horse's stud, a stud of about, I think it was 3/4 to 1 inch long, embedded in her helmet. You can also see how the rest of the hoof basically scraped against the helmet, and then another impact here. And you can see the deformity in the helmet down here. This is where the stud went inside the helmet, and it created a hole. That's why the spike tests are so important. You wouldn't think a jumper rider who was extraordinarily talented and capable would have a situation such as this one. But it is because we have this kite mark, which is very important. That actually indicates to your helmet, that your helmet is tested against that spike test. And here are the icons where you can look at the flat impact, the angled edge, the spike, and the crush resistance. And I think that these things are really important. And to talk about it is, we've not really had the conversation before. In the past with Charles Owen, Roy Burek went around as a one-man person and then educated people. So we didn't really have to share the information because he was doing it verbally. But the key importance of helmets is safety. You want to be able to walk away from any situation that you have. If we were to go out and ride this evening, we want to be able to have dinner with our families at night. We want to be able to get back to work tomorrow morning, whether we are professional riders or we are doctors, lawyers, CEOs, moms and dads. So that's why helmet safety is so important. We want to be able to enjoy our horses, and our horses are unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And to be able to be prepared and having the multiple standards is essential. And it's a personal choice as well. So if you want to look for the extra safety of 3 standards, it will be inside of your helmet. And of course, adding into that is the new MIPS technology, which we can talk about later. But those things are very important, and Dover has all these helmets available, and it has great certified fitters to be able to talk to you about how your helmet fits and make sure that you're in the best helmet when you walk out the door. So if anybody has any questions, or Whitney, if you have a couple of questions for me, I'd love to be able to answer them.
Yes, please, everyone, don't feel shy. This is the time. You have an expert sitting right in front of you to answer anything. And I do have some questions of my own. How do you know, number one, when to replace a helmet due to age? So you've had your helmet for years. And number two, what types of falls constitute a new helmet? So you fall off, maybe you hit your head lightly, versus fall off and you've banged your head. When do you know when you need a new helmet? If you could help with those two, because it happens frequently in our lives. My daughters both ride and I ride. So that's a question we always ask. Well, should we replace our helmet?
So modern helmets are made nowadays to be, it's a similar sort of concept to cars. Back in the day, we drove around in big steel cars, and if there was an accident, You felt like you were in a big giant steel cage. You got jostled around, but essentially the car was a cage that you were somewhat protected from. And the idea was not to be thrown from the car. Nowadays, our technology allows for crumple zones. And crumple zones in cars are meant to damage themselves, destroy themselves in order to protect you. I'm sure we've all seen a car that looks just horrific on the road, and the person is standing beside the car and they're fine. That's the idea of the crumple zone. So helmets are the same way. Modern helmets are designed specifically to destroy themselves in order to protect your head. And that's why we want to make sure that we replace helmets, because that expanded polystyrene, which is the white liner, and this particular helmet has a black liner. Let me see. And that one has a black liner. But the expanded polystyrene is the lining, the protective lining, and probably it's too dark for you to be able to see, but it is the beads, the very high-tech version of styrofoam that acts like a microscopic bubble wrap. And so that bubble wrap is there to protect you. And if due to sunscreen, heat, sweat, hair products, all kinds of things, they start to degrade that polystyrene. And so on a normal riding type of schedule, which we'd see is 5 days a week, 1 horse a day, we would expect that people would be replacing their helmets every 3 to 5 years to make sure that that expanded polystyrene hasn't degraded in any way due to those things, the extreme heat or the sweat and such. So that's your normal schedule. If you have a fall, and I've always said this, Roy always said this, if you can't remember that you didn't hit your head, because a lot of people have a fall and they don't really remember everything that happened during that fall. If you remember fully that you landed on your feet, or you remember that you fell on your bum and everything was fine, then maybe you don't need to replace your helmet. But if you can't remember if you did or did not hit your head, chances are you did hit your head. A lot of times we ride with other people, hopefully, and the people with you can tell you if you hit your head. Or sometimes we see mud or sand on the outer of your helmet. Then you really should replace your helmet, because that polystyrene will burst bubbles in order to protect you in that fall. And if you were to fall in that same exact place the next time, you would not be as protected as you were when the helmet was new. So that's why we suggest taking advantage of the accident replacement and replacing your helmet at every fall where you know that you've had an impact.
Thank you. That's really good information to have, I think, for every rider, for sure. Does anyone else have a question they want to ask? Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the webinar, but I would like to just say that Danielle mentioned today that fit is the most important key to having the proper helmet and the proper safety and protection. And we do have a 4 o'clock seminar today on helmet fit specifically, learn how to measure. Also those questions about, I wear my hair in a hairnet, I have a ponytail, it's tight when that's up, it's loose when it's down. You know, all those type of questions we can ask and learn from Danielle what we should be expecting. But I would also urge during this time, I mean, everyone should be taking advantage of the sales and the great deals going on right now through the International Helmet Awareness Week. It runs through Tuesday. But also the expertise, Dover is really, we really focus on customer service and making sure that our customers have the answers they need, whether we reach out to someone like Danielle at Charles Owen, or we have the expertise on hand. We can help you with that bidding, whether you want to call, go into the chat, call into customer service, or even go into your local store and talk to someone. That's what we're there for. We want to help you get the best equipment you can for your riding experience. So thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you for riding with Dover, and hopefully we'll see you at our next webinar at 4 o'clock.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having me. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.